Rain had just begun to fall lightly over the Colorado sky as Richard Blake walked into his own dealership, completely unrecognizable. No suit, no name badge, no corporate driver dropping him off in a BMW. Just a flannel shirt, dusty jeans, and a 5-day beard. His worn-out cap bore the logo of a nearby lumberyard. Even his own staff didn't notice him as he stepped into the showroom, boots squeaking on the polished floor. And that's exactly how he wanted it. Richard wasn't there for a press tour or investor meeting. He was doing something he hadn't done in over a decade, walking the floor as a regular customer, quietly assessing how his team treated people without a CEO title floating over his head. It had been a tough year, declining sales, complaints about management, and whispers that the company was becoming too corporate. He needed to see the ground reality for himself. A young sales rep, Tyler, approached him, clipboard in hand and rehearsed smile ready. "Hey there, sir. Looking for something in particular?" "Thinking about getting a truck," Richard replied, his voice low and casual. "Work's picking up again. Need something reliable." Tyler launched into his pitch, showing him a red 2023 Ford F-150 with all the bells and whistles. Richard listened, nodding, throwing in a few questions here and there. Tyler seemed friendly enough, a bit pushy, but not unkind. They were about to sit down and talk numbers when Richard heard it, a quiet, trembling voice behind him. "Hi, I was wondering if you had anything under $2,000, something that runs." Richard turned. The woman standing there looked no older than her late 20s. She wore a rain-soaked hoodie, her cheeks flushed from the cold. A toddler clung to her hip, wrapped in an oversized jacket, and a little girl, maybe 6, stood beside her holding a torn Minnie Mouse backpack. Tyler sighed. "We don't really do anything in that range. You might want to check a junkyard or Craigslist." The woman nodded, her smile faltering. "I've been to both. They either want too much or the cars don't run. I just started working again, and I need something to get my kids to daycare and myself to work." Richard watched closely. Her desperation wasn't loud, but it was in every word, every glance. "I don't want a handout," she added quickly. "I can pay a little up front, maybe a few hundred. I just need something that can last a few months." Tyler's expression didn't shift. "Sorry, we don't deal in vehicles like that. Maybe try the classifieds." Richard couldn't stay silent. He stepped forward. "Hey, don't we have a few trade-ins out back? Old pickups and compact sedans?" Tyler looked confused. "Yeah, but most of those aren't ready for sale yet." "Can we take a look anyway?" Richard asked. The woman blinked, unsure why a random stranger was intervening. Tyler shrugged. "Sure, if you want." They walked to the back lot, past the shiny new inventory, into a fenced-off area where dusty, worn cars waited to be auctioned or salvaged. Richard spotted a beige 2011 Toyota Corolla, a few dents, worn tires, but he remembered the file. It ran fine, just needed a battery jump and a little cleaning. "This one," he said. "Solid car, should get you from A to B." The woman looked hesitant. "How much?" Richard thought for a moment. "Let me talk to the manager. Maybe we can work something out." Tyler raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He still didn't recognize the CEO of the company standing next to him. As Richard turned to go inside, the woman called out softly, "Thank you. I'm Lily, by the way, Lily Carter." He froze mid-step. The name hit him like a lightning bolt. His mind scrambled. Carter, the same last name as... He turned back to her. "Did you say Carter?" She nodded, wiping rain from her daughter's cheeks. "Yeah, my dad was George Carter." Richard's heart nearly stopped. The very brother he hadn't seen in 15 years. And suddenly, this wasn't just a customer anymore. This was family. Richard stood motionless, rain gathering on his cap, heart racing. George Carter, a name buried under years of silence and regret. George, his older brother, once full of promise, had taken a hard turn. Drugs, debts, and finally disappearing without a trace. Richard had long blamed himself. For not reaching out, for not trying harder, for being too proud. And now here stood Lily, his niece, the little girl he never got to meet, all grown up, a mother now. He watched her tuck a wet strand of hair behind her ear and gently bounce her toddler. There was something about the way she smiled at her children despite her obvious struggle, the way she carried herself. She was tough, resilient, just like George had been. Inside, Richard spoke with the dealership manager quietly, instructing him to prep the Corolla, waive any fees, and draw up papers in Lily's name. The manager protested. The car hadn't even been listed for sale. But Richard's tone was final. Still undercover, he signed the necessary forms using a generic alias. Back outside, Lily stood beside the car, uncertain. "So," Richard said, handing her the temporary tags and papers, "it's yours." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I talked to the manager. They're letting it go for $1. Just needs a jump and a clean. No strings." Tears sprang to her eyes instantly. I can't accept this. I don't even know your name." "Call it a little good karma," Richard replied with a soft smile. "You've got enough on your plate. Let us help." "But why?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Richard crouched to meet her daughter's gaze, then stood again, clearing his throat. "Let's just say your father once saved someone when no one else would." She paused, clearly puzzled. "You knew my dad?" Richard nodded slowly. "He was my brother." For a few seconds, everything stopped. Lily stared, her mouth slightly open. "Your Uncle Rick?" He nodded. Lily let out a quiet sob, hugging her kids close, then lunged toward Richard, arms wrapping tightly around his shoulders. "I thought I had no family left," she whispered. "You do now," he replied, voice cracking. "You always have." The rain seemed to fade, replaced by a warm weight in the air neither of them could quite explain. 2 generations, once separated by pride and time, now reunited by chance and compassion. Over the next half hour they talked. Lily explained how her father passed when she was just 9. Her mother tried her best but died of cancer last year. She'd been couch-hopping with the kids ever since, working odd jobs, refusing to give up. Richard was stunned by her strength. She reminded him of everything good George had once been. "I never knew how to find you," Lily said. "Mom never talked much about Dad's family." He nodded, "And I never tried hard enough to reconnect." They exchanged numbers. Richard offered to help more, but she refused anything she couldn't earn. "I just needed one break," she said. "You gave me that. Now let me prove I can carry the rest." He admired that. In the following weeks, Richard quietly stayed in her life. He helped her find a part-time role at a smaller dealership he owned in a nearby town, ensuring she had flexible hours. Lily worked hard, managing sales records, assisting customers, and always bringing her children along, who quickly became favorites among the staff. One Friday afternoon, the dealership hosted a small staff BBQ. Richard arrived, not in disguise this time, but in full CEO fashion. As he walked through the crowd, employees gasped in recognition. Lily, who was helping serve lemonade, froze as she saw him step up to the mic. "I know many of you are surprised to see me like this," Richard began. "But sometimes the best way to lead is to walk the floor, listen quietly, and meet people where they are." He looked directly at Lily. "A few weeks ago, I met someone who reminded me what resilience looks like, what family means, and what kind of company I want this to be." He smiled. "Her name is Lily Carter, and I'm proud to say she's not just my niece, she's the future of this business." Thunderous applause followed as Lily stood stunned, hand over her heart. From that moment on, her life changed. She earned her promotion within months, built a stable home, and even enrolled in a business course, funded quietly by Richard. Sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to repair the broken engines of the past and ignite something new. And for Richard and Lily, that act had started not with power or money, but with a broken-down Corolla and a stranger's voice behind him.